Hello YouTube family, James Green, short series Shenanigans. Okay, this is going to be episode number 2 of grinding a tool bit, except this time we're going to use our pedestal grinder, and I've got some other high-speed steel bits here, and we're just going to create some profiles. And we've talked about before when we were using the carbide grinder behind us here, and you can actually use, if you have both, and if you want to rough out a tool bit, you can get the vast majority of the shape done. And I've done it before when I was doing some of them other bits, or in between actually these two videos, is do the vast majority of material removal on the my big 10-inch. It's a post World War II Black & Decker 10-inch, and it's an original 110 volt grinder. Some of you guys have seen it in my videos, but do the major stock removal and then move over here and do your you know, kind of getting down to where you need to be. So, but if you don't have it and all you have is a bench grinder, and I'm going to demonstrate, and I've got my little fishtail here, we're going to demonstrate making a just a basic threading tool, as well as use your imagination like I've said in the other video. Play with different grinds depending on what you need, as long as you've got a game plan and depending on the material. Now, high-speed steel is only going to work on certain materials. Softer metals like 1018 or A36, aluminum, brass, silicon, bronze, stuff like that. You know, copper nickel tubing is a little bit hard, but it'll do it. So when you start getting into your other stuff, you need to go to your carbide tooling and things like that, and even the brazed carbide stuff. You can actually grind it on a regular grinder, but you just have to, you know, you have to hold it, and you can actually achieve the desired results by using para, because the tool is going to get hot. So you just need to be careful when you are holding with this. Know that the tool can slip out, so you just have to be careful. Have your dip tray full of water, be ready, have your tools handy, and this has a couple of lighted eye protectors, so for video purposes I don't have to wear a shield and all that. Now if you don't have one, then, you know, get your face shield, because flying debris can be an issue. So I'm going to go ahead. The grinder is noisy, guys. There's nothing I can do about it. So if you have the volume turned up, noise warning, it's going to get noisy. First we're going to take one of these tool bits, and I'm going to create a basic 60 degree, and I've got it on its little holder here. That's, if you're curious what those are for. And you can also use them to line them up on your stock whenever you're lining up your tool and your lathe, but I also use it to help grind my tool bit so it's 60 degree. There's different ones out there. They have metric ones. I have some that are 55 degree Whitworth, where this is, and I have cut some 55 degree single point tools to cut some 55 degree tooling. Not very often stateside, but I have run into it quite a bit. So much so that I do have one of these that is 55 degrees. So anyway, I'm going to move the camera down. Noise warning, it's going to get noisy, and I'll try to speak over it. And here we go. Alright. Lock the camera down. Make sure we're not going to move. Alright. And here we go. Example of one that you can do on here. That's just a really neat looking one. It's using both ends of the tool bit. That's just an idea that was in the file. I wanted to show you guys that, so you can make a couple different ones. Alright, here's some Rex 96 or Rex 95. We're going to start with that. Right now I'm grinding the relief in. rid of some of this here. Now, instead of having it to where it's in the middle, I'm actually going to create one that's similar to this, so you can thread up to a shoulder. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna duplicate, something like that. So it's pulling all the grindings. I need to clean out my dip bucket. So we're going to check it. Angle. We're actually pretty close. We just need to keep feeding a little bit more. There we go. Hold it up here and check it. Well, you got to move across the stone so you don't end up with a part that's not correct, so it's not dished or domed. And there we go. Make sure I get it in frame. So there's an example of one side. Now, I always like to make more than one tool on bits, but that one's short enough. I'm just going to keep this one just for threading up against the shoulder. We'll make this one for threading up against the shoulder, but we're going to make this one to where it's left-hand thread. So if I have to start against the shoulder and we need to go up against the right-hand shoulder, so we're going to be threading this way. It's going to be a 60-degree tool. Not very often, but you do get them. Took a little bit for my grinder to warm up so it quiet down. It was a little cold. After a while you kind of get an idea of how to hold the tool angle wise. I need to clean that out. so you can hold it at the correct angle and get it relatively close. You know, we could even, that's a good angle right there if you wanted to. That's a good start for making a Acme thread. If that's what we were cutting, that's a pretty good start on one. Now we're going to start on the other side. Like I said, once you've done it several times, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much at all. And then you know how to hold both angles at the same time. You learn how to hold that compound angle. Take some off the bottom here. Again, you just got to use your imagination and practice. That slowly worked into one where it's in the center. It's all right. Chase it back over to the other side. Go. Keeping that dip cup handy. That's one thing about holding them by hand. You can tell when they're starting to get up to temperature. We'll at least grind that out on the bottom. Alright. Come up here, check our 60-degree angle. See, we want the tool, even though it's 60, it's not held straight on the tool. So that's how you correct that. It's like, okay, which way do we need to go? Now, obviously, that's kind of irrelevant because you can set your tool up. That's what this is for, so when you go to set it up, but you know, you want it with where everything's perpendicular to, or at least I do. In the end, it doesn't really matter. as long as you get your tool, your 60-degree area threading part lined up, and that's what a fishtail is for, then you're good to go. Alright. So now we just need to bring this in. And it's practice, practice, practice. Now down here at the very tip, it's 60 degree. Okay. Up here at the back, it's not. It's obviously not. It's everything but, you know. But down here, where you're really going to make, you know, unless you're going to cut a really, really deep thread, okay, which you can make your whole tool. The vast majority of everything I do, that's a really, really deep thread right there. And that's what you're doing, is you're lining this tool up, and you put that on, and that's how you line your tool up in your tool bit, so you know you're perpendicular with everything, because that's where it sets up against the stock right there. So let's get the tip of this 60 degrees down here. We have a little bit left. Trying to do this and film is a little challenging, but I can do it. But again, the purpose of this video is to show you guys that you can create your own tool bits. And again, we're coming down here checking this, and that one's definitely 60 degrees. Trying to get it in there and then show you guys. It's definitely 60 degrees. You can create and make. The choice is endless. You know, this one has been ground where you can get right up against the shoulder. I mean, you just use your imagination. And then it's got on the back side, it's got a radius tool to come in and do a gentle radius. You can see how it's ground. So I can turn it around and do a gentle radius on something if I need to. I always try to put a tool on both sides, or a grind. Like here's a radius tool. You know, you can flip it over and put a different type of grind on the back. That's for cutting and doing like an O-ring or groove or whatever. Let's just freshen that up since we got the grinder running. And you can freehand it. What you can also do is take a Sharpie, and you want to see where you've ground or where you have it. So you take your Sharpie and you see, okay, where do I need to remove, or where did I remove? Let's say you just want to freshen up a tool, which really that's all I want to do on this. We just want to freshen it up so we can see where we have ground and where we have not. So cover the whole surface with a Sharpie marker. Alright. That way you know. And we just want to go give everything a fresh touch up. And then you can come in here with your hand stone, and you can even dress it up some more if you need to. There we go. So our cutting surface, cool it off a little bit. So we have removed the marker, we just kind of freshened it up, and we had to remove some more of the relief area, which is fine. And we went in and just dressed it up. This is just like a general purpose radius tool. This isn't a precise size for anything. And that's just an example of a grind you can use with stuff. Let me move the camera back. Well, the grinder, you could tell when it first started it was cold versus now, because it's right after Thanksgiving now. Matter of fact, so we don't have to. And I unplugged this one because I'll hear that thing sitting there humming. So here's an example of, I'll pull these out again over here. Tooling. Now what we got going on. Let me set this over here. I'm going to use the mill table as a table. And we'll discuss a little further. So the purpose of today's video was to show you guys that you can use a hand grinder. Whoop. I'm sorry, not hand grinder. Pedestal grinder to grind your tools. Using a Sharpie marker, you want to dress up a tool like what we demonstrated here. Lots of uses for a Sharpie marker. Demonstrating again, if you haven't seen how to use the fishtail, I've got it set. The deeper side is on here. You know, if you're going to make a deeper tool, and then the shallower, and then grinding your angles. This is actually so you can, and this is actually, it's the Starrett 392 on the bottom is the little deal, and that actually butts up against the stock. Okay, and then that's how you line your tool up, okay, with your tool post to make sure you're actually, because you saw how we ground the tool, the whole tool isn't 60 degrees, just the area that's making the cutting, which that is really gonna, you know, I very seldom personally run into stuff that isn't really deep as far as thread pitch wise. It's generally 16 degree thread pitch and less, so that will definitely do the job. You can offset them to the left or to the right. Here's an example of a tool I showed you guys earlier where and I need to demagnetize these to where they have a threading, and the way it's actually ground on the camera you can see. Okay, so this is actually ground the top profile first, so we can go like we're normally threading, right to left, doing a standard right hand thread. And so, and then the edge is ground where you can come up to. That's a really old classic single point grind. Again, this is some old Rex 95. And then here's the same thing as well, and just in a shorter version of it. Again, use your imagination, create your own grinds. I'm looking to see if there's some other ones here that's I went through. This has a radius, because at times I want to come in and do some metal sculpting. Literally, you need to come in and create your own dress and radius, and that's what I'll use form tools like that for. Just get a good general radius, some smaller, some larger. You'll need left hand or right hand internal radius so you can shape something. Excuse me. So just practice, get out there with the grinder, grab your fishtail. There's this 60 degree, there's 55 degree, but the vast majority of the stuff 60 degree will work fine, depending on where you're at in the world. So that was the object of today's video, is to just go over a brief, you know, there's lots of videos out there showing how different grinds and different things, chip breakers. Again, high speed steel is only going to have so much of an application. Even the good stuff, the Momax, the good stuff, even the import steel, if you grind it and it will work, okay, it's not the best, but if you're learning, use what you got. You know, you don't have to go out and buy the super top of the line. There's a lot of stuff out there that's still new old stock you can find on the internet, and it'll work just fine. A little goes a long way. Once you get the grind in, it doesn't take much to go in and just dress it up, just like what I showed you with the Sharpie marker. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions, my public email address, eagledustoff37@gmail.com. Again, don't let your budget limit what you can do. Just use your imagination. You can do all that same stuff that I did there on a small benchtop grinder. It might take a little longer. Have your dip cup ready. You know, just be cognizant. Don't get, and plus having it in your hand, you can tell you don't want it getting too warm. You can go and cool it off and keep going, and just practice. Find out what grind works, what grind doesn't. You know, so there you go. If you guys have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. I'm also on social media, Instagram and Twitter. So thanks again for watching. I greatly appreciate it. I want to give my YouTube channel sponsor a shout out, All Industrial Tool Supply. You guys, if you have any questions, call them up. www.allindustrial.com. Request a master catalog, and you know, if you guys got any questions, they'll be more than happy to answer it. And they do ship worldwide, so depending on where you're at, shipping may vary. So call them for a quote and find out. If you guys are interested, they do have high-speed steel tooling. They've got pedestal grinders. They've also got that carbide and grinder, or anything you might need. Give them a call. They're a small U.S.-based company, and you know what? Let's take care of the little guy. That's kind of what I say. So anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed it. Until next time, get out in the garage, grab you some high-speed steel, grind you up some tool bits. This stuff is fun. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.